Hazard, who's the vice chair, and she's also a principal lecturer here at Sheffield Hallam. And we have let our lovely speaker introduce themselves and welcome. And before you go, at the end, please help yourself with some pizza. Thank you.
Cool. So good to see you all again, and thanks all for coming. So last month I was here introducing a friend of ours, of BCS, Mike Harris, and now it's my turn to deliver a talk to you all as well. So I'm Andy Shaw. I am part of the South Yorkshire BCS branch as well, and I'm the diversity inclusion officer as well from the branch as well. I also write a online magazine called The Tester as well, for the special interest group in software testing. I'm just going to do a couple of plugs before I talk as well, which I'll probably do afterwards as well. So I'm going to the first one is the specialist interest group in software testing conference. There was a call for paper, but it closed yesterday. So there's a conference on the 19th of June as well, which more details will be following shortly. I'm also going to be taking part in an International Women's Day event as well in March, so more details will come as well for that, which I can mention after this talk as well. But the main reason I've come tonight is mental health is a very, very subject close to the heart as well, and you'll find out why later in this talk. Yeah, later in this talk. So I've been doing some sort of research in mental health and doing some talks around mental health in tech as well over the last few years as well. So I'm also going to be mentioning about a really good software tool called Ripple as well, which is an interceptive tool, which I'm going to mention later in this talk. But just so that there's content warning as well, part of the presentation does just mention suicide as well, so I just thought to mention that to you all before continuing. So next slide, please. So mental health is becoming more prevalent in our society. The awareness of it and the importance of it is more and more important in our society. So within the tech industry, there's a lot of pressures to get software completed and delivered on time. Sometimes due to a lot of budget cuts and constraints and sort of fixed deadlines, as well as to how software should be delivered as well. And sometimes a lot of professionals, including myself in the past, have worked extra hours, sometimes evenings and weekends to get stuff over the line as well. So with software development as well, there's a lot of deadline and pressures as well for software developers to get code deployed into a test environment and to be tested and then deployed to deployed as well to a live environment, so it's deployed to the customer as well. There's a lot of pressure to get it done. A lot of software developers. So who here is a software developer? Who here develops? Have you worked in isolation for long periods of time? Yeah, I can totally relate. So a lot of developers have worked in isolation for a lot of the time as well, and a lot of the time as well they need to concentrate on very, very difficult tasks as well, and difficult pieces of software which need to be developed as well. A lot of the time, unfortunately, it can get interrupted, which is quite stressful as well. Also, as well with that as well comes the fatigue as well from working the long hours and spending so much time working on code as well to get developed. I've met a lot of software developers during my time as an IT professional as well, who've worked sort of out of hours, who've gone home from work, who've worked at least a few hours each night to try and get stuff done, and we're told that it could and it's one thing that can take its toll on people. Also, as well, with work to break ratios as well, there are a lot of the time as well. A lot of software developers will go without sort of breaks, or if they're on a break, they'll look at something else, or they'll look at the computer. They're actually distance themselves from a laptop, or they'll sort of check emails or do other sort of administrative style tasks as well, whilst in between sort of trying to develop pieces of code as well. A lot of the time, fixing bugs can be a problem as well, especially if it's related to a lot of technical debt as well. For example, if a tester like myself have raised a bug, but it's a very difficult bug to replicate, it's a difficult bug to actually fix as well. That can also be quite difficult as well, and a lot of developers have had mental health issues from these areas as well. So a lot of the time as well for developers, although they can work some a week and stuff, reducing your hours can be difficult, because sometimes there's a lot of overtime, or there's a lot of deadlines or emergency work that needs to be completed as well, or hot fixes that need to be deployed pretty much as soon as possible. So for developers, it can be very difficult. So I'm going to talk about it from a testing perspective as well, because although I initially wanted to be a software developer, I changed to become a software tester just almost 10 years ago. So again, as well with testing software, like developers, there's a lot of deadline and pressure to get stuff tested and deployed as well to the customer as well as soon as possible. One time I was told that I had literally 4 days to test a whole regression suite at a previous company I worked for as well, at very, very ridiculously short notice to test it all within 4 days, because the release is going to be deployed to the customer in 4 days' time, literally. Although we managed to get everything successfully tested and raise a few bugs along the way, it was quite stressful, quite tiring as well, and it did take its toll on me as well. So I suffered a bit of fatigue and exhaustion from that as well. A lot of the time as well with testing, there's a lot of high expectations of testing as well. For example, the whole system needs to be tested within a short amount of time. Sometimes projects don't always budget for extra tests that we need to do, or contingency time as well, just so that the software can be deployed to the client in time. Also as well, when we're trying to ask developers for time to go through bugs or replicate bugs or double check what problems are actually bugs as well. Developers are understandably busy as well, which makes it difficult for us testers. So is everybody here a tester? Awesome. I know exactly how you feel. So a lot of the time it is quite busy. Sometimes as well there can be bullying within sort of testing, within sort of the tech industry, specifically at the testers as well. I worked at a place years ago where I was sort of bullied in a role whilst I was a tester as well, being made to feel that the test that I did was not that great, and looking at things where they thought I missed as well, and just telling me work was unsatisfactory as well, which had an impact on my mental health. It caused me anxiety, it caused me sleepless nights. I even went to the doctor a few times as well, just to ask for advice and sort of to mention what help I needed to get as well, because I was just having a lot of problems at work as well. Also as well, with developer and testing teams, you can have many developers but only a few testers within that testing team. So an ideal developer to tester ratio would be two developers to one tester, ideally. That's what they say. But sometimes, how many developers do you work with?
About 10.
About 10. So ratios can be quite difficult to manage as well. I've worked in teams as well where I've had sort of like six developers to one tester as well, which makes it difficult to complete the work within the amount which all the developers do as well. Also as well with when organisations are downsizing or cutting costs, and they're reporting the fact that they've lost, they need to sort of need to make some people redundant. A lot of testers usually fall within that. A lot of the focus is we'll make the testers redundant, or we'll merge the testing team with a different group as well, even though sometimes the functions within two groups can be quite difficult as well. So testers sometimes can be more of a threat of facing redundancies as well. But also as well, when there's a problem in life and when the customer reports it, a lot of the time the testers are to blame for the problem as well, even though we cannot physically test every single scenario. We try to, and we do everything that we can to do so, but sometimes it's just very difficult to test every single scenario. So sometimes the finger of blame gets pointed at the tester. So I've also done some research on cybersecurity as well, because I'm also planning to do some more talks at this area as well, because I have a lot of friends in this industry and I want to do what I can to help them as well. So want to know a bit more, probably going to submit to talk to someone like B-Sides or one of the ladies in Cheltenham Hacking Society as well. So I'll bring with cake as well while I'm doing so. But with cybersecurity, there are a lot of mental health concerns as well, and I'm reading more and more about it as well, which is quite concerning. So a lot of the time, a lot of cybersecurity professionals have a 24/7 pressures 365 times a year, 66 during the leap year as well, where they're always sort of needing to be sort of like switched on and ready to tackle a lot of the threats facing different organisations as well. But sometimes as well, when sort of doing tests and when looking at different systems, a lot of the systems can be incompatible as well, which makes it difficult for cybersecurity professionals to do their role effectively as well, which can add to the fatigue and burnout within a lot of staff as well. Also as well, a lot of cybersecurity professionals, but when most of them take pride in the work as well. So most of the time as well, if there's a breach or if there is or if a system has been compromised, a lot of cybersecurity professionals do take personal responsibility, and although they're doing everything they can to mitigate these risks and prevent these risks, it's not always possible to eliminate every single risk. So a lot of the time they'll shoulder it upon themselves to work extra hours, work a lot of overtime as well. And if something goes wrong, they actually feel bad themselves, and it affects them in their professional lives personal lives as well. So another area as well, which is a concern, is a lack of budget and tech as well for cybersecurity to do the job as well, and to do the roles effectively as well. So organisations may not have the budget or the money for it as well. So it can be difficult to use not the latest tech or not the most efficient tech to deal with the problem. And a lot of cybersecurity professionals, which I've read about, have experienced fatigue and burnout as well, and being mentally exhausted just from doing the job as well, through working over hours, through not being able to switch off completely from the work as well as a highly pressured environment as well. And according to Forbes magazine as well, 65% of cybersecurity professionals in the States actually considered leaving their roles and sort of handing in resignations as well, and a lot of them have considered getting out of the industry, because although it's a really rewarding industry to get into, and it's one of the really popular ones as well in tech, I know some people who are looking to develop careers in that as well. Some people have considered leaving their jobs because the roles have been too stressful as well. But fortunately now as well, not sure if you've heard of it, Shahzad, there's a mental health and cybersecurity charter which came out on 1st of February 1st of February. So I'm going to find out more about that as well. But it's a charter where organisations could sign up to sign up for with cybersecurity as well to help the wellbeing of the staff as well. So I'm going to find out more information about that, and I will let you know if I know any more as well. So at the end of the day, this is important. A lot of the cybersecurity professionals are very meticulous at the roles, and it's our job in the tech industry, and it's one thing I'd like to do to actually help them as much as I can as well, and help wellbeing. So wellbeing and mental health services for cybersecurity professionals, as well as other professionals in tech as well, is essential as well to keep people in the roles, prevent employee turnover as well, and to prevent people from burning out or suffering greater mental health issues. So in the mental health industry, in the tech industry itself, 2 out of 5 people have experienced burnout in the roles as well, just from working long hours. The jobs have been quite pressurised as well. And since the pandemic as well, 55% of professionals have also reported increased workloads as well in the roles which they do as well. Whilst working during the pandemic as well, there was a lot of workload. There were more workloads for a lot of people I know as well, just because people could work from home and it was a lot easier to switch on the laptop, and sometimes a lot difficult to switch off at the end of the day. 24% of managers trained in mental health first aid as well, and that statistic, although I'm not really much of a statistics person, I'd like to see more people sort of trained in it, not just in mental health first aid, but also knowing how to sort of look out for a team as well, and reaching in to help people as well when they need it. 52% of the professionals have experienced anxiety and depression. I've not experienced depression, but I have had anxiety with working in some roles, which have had as well. Sometimes just to the fast pacedness of it all, and sometimes a lot of the work hasn't been clear, and I've needed to sort of clarify things and picking up new systems as well in a very short amount of time. 75% of professionals have reported mental health concerns as well, which is worrying, I think, as well, as it can cause issues further down the line as well. Also, but fortunately, 80% of the professionals have mentioned that their companies are supportive of mental health. In an ideal world, I'd like to see it up to 100%. And I've worked in companies which have been good at mental health and had mental health sessions as well, which I found useful as well. I've worked in a few organisations which don't have that and don't really regard employee wellbeing as top of their priority. But it does need to be addressed. Mental health in tech does need to be addressed so that people can continue performing effectively in the roles, that they can get the help they need as well, and that when they're struggling, people can reach out, and managers can also check in on people as well to make sure that everyone's okay, but also talking freely about it in an open environment, and not worrying about what repercussions or backlash you get from having mental health concerns. Just going to take a drink. So, okay, no problem. So I'm going to talk about my experiences now with mental health as well. So I've had some experiences of mental health, particularly within the last 4 to 5 years when you had lockdown as well. So I've had experiences more of anxiety as well in the last 4 years, which came about more during lockdown. I had it before that in a previous role where I was told the performance was unsatisfactory because they didn't have the time to sort of show me things properly, which caused me anxiety and caused me many sleepless nights. It was a result of the although I'm not in the process of bad-mouthing organisations, I do think I need to sort of say something as well. And it was a result of the toxic culture as well within the organisation, which fortunately I'm no longer with them. Also, as well, pressures to get things tested within a short amount of time as well. Sometimes at really short notice, or being moved on to different projects as well because of the demands of the business. That had caused me some sort of caused me some stress, but also I felt sort of mentally exhausted after trying to complete the work as well and try to balance the priorities. I was also at threat of redundancy as well at one place where I was working as well, which caused me stress. It got me to think, how am I going to be able to pay the bills? Will I get another job? Can I use the skills what I've learned to get another job, or do I need to sort of retrain and upskill and get some more jobs as well? And that caused me some concerns as well. So some more experiences, mental health. I was at an organisation a few years ago where they wanted people. The onboarding sessions were about for a week, and they wanted everybody to be pretty much up to speed within a week. Whereas for me, I need more time. As a neurodiverse professional, I need more time to actually get the grasp of the systems, get an understanding of it, as well as asking questions and understanding what I've learned as well. So the onboarding for that caused me some stress and anxiety as well, because of having the pressure of being told you've got a week to learn this all. We don't have much time to teach you at all or go through with it all. You have to learn it. I'm going to pretty much set you out there in a short period of time, which is never good. A lot of the time as well, I have had imposter syndrome as well. I feel like I'm a complete fraud as well. Even when I'm doing these talks sometimes as well, because I always think that there's somebody sort of better than me who can do these talks, as well as when writing articles for the magazine that I write, The Tester. A lot of the people within the specialists in test stupid software testing are professionals what they do, and compared to them, I just feel like a complete fraud. Somebody who's probably just been lucky most of his life, and that has caused me some concerns as well. Also, as well, lockdown. Initially, I embraced lockdown, and I welcomed being at home as well, because I could start my laptop at 8, I could finish at 5. I didn't have to travel home. I could just sort of make tea about quarter of an hour later on as well, and it was good because the weather was good. When January 2021 came, when we were still in lockdown, I was working extra hours and weekends to get work done as well, and I hadn't seen many of my friends or family for a long period of time, so I started to feel quite low. I started to have times where I'd just sort of be sort of quiet or withdrawn and sort of quite upset from time to time as well, and just frustrated with everything. And at times I just couldn't concentrate. I needed to sort of the physical seeing people rather than just on Zoom or Microsoft Teams or just via emails as well. I just missed all that as well. So lockdown also got me. I felt quite low as well, and it did have an effect on mental health. So managing mental health in tech. So there's a lot of things which I've done for managing mental health within tech, and a lot of organisations are doing, is sort of looking at your timescales and workloads as well, and being honest about what you can physically take on as well. It's tempting to say yes to a lot of projects, it's tempting to say yes to a lot of work, but a lot of the time you can't work 24/7, and you can't work flat out all day as well. You need to give yourself breaks, and you need time to switch off, or you need time to step away from the laptop, or even your emails, to actually make sure that you're as productive as what you can be as well. And the rest is just as good as working as well. Also as well, I've had managers who've checked in with us all on a regular basis each sort of week as well, and sometimes on a more daily basis as well, especially during lockdown, to check how we're all doing and if we had any concerns as well. And they made it an open sort of forum as well, where people could discuss how they're feeling, discuss anything they had in mind as well, which I thought was useful. But also, I've started setting work-life boundaries as well. So I love what I do as a job as a tester. I enjoy learning about different tech and coming to networking events, as well as learning how to be a better tester. And I enjoy learning about coding as well. But a lot of the time as well, I do also want to have a break, make sure I have a break from the tech industry and a break from work as well. So after 8 PM, I won't check my emails. I'll make sure that once I switch off from work, unless I'm needed to actually be on the other end of the laptop or the other end of the phone, I'll switch my laptop and the phone off as well. And I've also made sure that I've got activities as well, which are completely nothing to do with tech, nothing to do with testing. So between the work time and the time which I'm involved with BCS as well, I also have an equal passion for martial arts as well. So I'll also help to take karate classes a few times a week as well, and that gives me a good break from work as well. It gives me something non-work related to focus on as well. So there's different ways in which us professionals can manage mental health and improve mental health as well. So I'm not going to go through everything, but I'm going to go through a few things which have worked for me. It's not a prescribed list, but it's what I've been through as well, which you're welcome to take away, or you're welcome to sort of have your own ways of dealing with it, because we all have our own ways of dealing with mental health. So I'll take things a day at a time. Once I finish work, I'll do the best. I'll do what I can to switch off the rest of the day, but also reflect on how the day's gone as well. Each day I'll sort of write a few lists of tasks of what I want to do for the next day, what I want to achieve for the next day as well, so it gives me a focus for that day as well. I'm also setting boundaries as well within work as well. So again, I won't check the emails after 8 PM weekdays, and I won't check them on weekends as well, so that I have a complete break from the work environment. I'll also make sure that I have some time as well away from the workstation, away from the laptop, and away from the computer, so that my brain can pretty much switch off from work and I can have a decent night's sleep. Also, I'm not going to teach you how to suck eggs or what to eat as well, and I'm not going to recommend any sort of specific diets to all as well, but making sure that you have a healthy diet and some exercise as well. So a lot of the fruits, a lot of the vegetables, a lot of nuts, avoiding drinking too much alcohol and too much sort of processed foods as well can also help boost your well-being as well. So and setting yourself and setting a sort of routine as well. For example, getting up at a certain time, making sure that you switch off from work at a certain time as well, and just having a few things in the day. For example, when you're going to have a break, what jobs you're going to do as well, to sort of help get you into routine as well, is also good for mental health as well. Being creative as well. I like being creative, and I like just having fun with what I do as well. So sometimes as well, I'll do a bit of writing as well in the spare time as well, or I'll do something creative, for example, baking, which during lockdown I found really useful as well. I've not brought any baking tonight, unfortunately. I have promised a number of people sort of things that I'll bake for them as well. But during periods like Christmas and stuff, when we're having a break and sort of spending it with families, I do find sort of baking and things like that really enjoyable as well as the fact that I could just be a little creative. Even if I decided to create a curry, I would sort of be creative of what ingredients I'd put in it. If it was spaghetti bolognese, probably going to think this is odd, but I'd probably put some carrot in the bolognese as well, just to sort of give you that extra flavour as well. But whether it's that, or whether it's painting or drawing or whatever, it's good. Also as well, practicing mindfulness as well. So shutting your eyes and just paying attention to the sounds around you, what you're feeling as well, your breath as well. That's also good to help you sort of keep focused and good for well-being as well. Each day as well, when I'm sort of driving to the office, I will always sort of mention 5 things which I'm actually grateful for, as well as sort of like a practicing gratitude as well. But it's what works for you. Also as well, if you're struggling or if you're finding things difficult, it might not seem much, but do reach out and do speak up if you're struggling. Understandably, it's not always easy to do, and I've been guilty of this myself as well. But make sure that you speak up, you speak up, or just sort of ask somebody for a bit of advice or help. That helps you as well. But also as well, please be honest about it. I'm also guilty of this as well. I've also buried my emotions sometimes as well, and sort of looked at and sort of been thinking, I'm fine, when really I have been struggling and I have found things difficult as well. So please be honest. Each of you are important. You'll make a difference. So it's best. So please be honest, and as well, if you find if you're concerned about somebody or haven't spoken to somebody for a while, ask them how they're doing as well. It might not seem much, but somebody who might be finding things difficult, it could help. It could be something which lifts their day and something which can help them. So different organisations are doing things for in developing mental health within the team. So a lot of organisations are having this mental health first aid qualifications as well. So is anybody a mental health first aid? Have you found the course?
Yeah.
Okay. Has it helped with your role, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, we went to a wellbeing team at work, totally, so it's been helpful with that, like wellbeing champion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Now just interesting. I mean, a lot of organisations, including some which I've worked in as well, have mental health champions and mental health first aiders as well, and they've developed a series of initiatives and a series of events to help people with mental health from different industries. So I've attended a few in different organisations I've worked at as well, which had different people from within the business as well, from different industries, and it was good to sort of see how mental health was perceived from their angle, from their perspective. So, and as well as some of the challenges they faced as well, and ways which they could help manage that as well. So that was used. So a number of organisations have been doing mental health events as well. There's the Rethink Mental Health event, which takes place on the first Thursday of every February, where they'll have sort of sessions in which employees can actually learn more about mental health, ways how they can manage their mental health as well. and help to break down the barriers and the stigma surrounding it. I also did a training course as well for mental health in the previous organisation I worked with as well, which showed the signs of mental health, so the signs of people who are struggling with mental health, as well as ways in which they can help manage their mental health. Although the course was quite a short course as well, it did help a lot of people as well, and that's something I'm looking to do in the future. So I'm just going to. So I'm going to. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So I'm going to tell you a bit about my sort of story as well, and why I'm actually passionate about mental health awareness. Some of you know about this already as well, but in 2009, I actually lost a brother to suicide. Completely out of the blue. And it's a complete shock to myself and my family as well. Going through losing him was literally hell. And then I decided that I realised that I didn't want anyone to go through what we went through as a family, because it was just difficult to come to terms with, and still is now, almost 15 years later, it's still difficult to deal with it all now. But I decided I didn't want anyone going through going through what we went through as a family, and it just sort of hit it right at home. So a few years later, once I'd sort of picked myself up and gone through some emotions. At that time, I was working at a place where I wasn't exactly happy with the role. I felt stagnant, and I got to a place where I just thought, I don't care anymore. I used to sort of turn up to work as late as I possibly could, just before the later start time, and go home as early as I could as well. And I just got to a point where I just thought, I don't care. I'm not that interested in the world, and I had to pick myself up first. After doing that, I went to a Samaritans open evening back in 2012, a few years after losing my brother, and I wanted to sort of see what the work which they did as well. I always wanted to do sort of public speaking about these kind of things, to sort of help other people, and to help those people who are finding things difficult get help. And at the time, they were training for people to operate the phones as well for the Samaritans, which I felt at the time I didn't feel confident doing it, and there were still sort of processes of losing my brother as well. So I started researching more about mental health as well over the years, and although I appreciate it's taken me a long time to get to this day and where I am now, I'm pleased that I have made some progress. I could say that maybe I haven't done as much as what other people have done as well, but each journey is unique as well, and I think at the time I needed to deal with things as best as I could then. So I arranged a mental health sort of lunch and learn session at a previous organisation where I worked with Leeds, and that went well. And I talked about different mental health sort of issues which people could find as well as ways in which people could manage their mental health as well. I then worked at another organisation where I delivered a talk about mental health, and delivered a short sort of training video about mental health, so that employees could spot the signs if they either themselves or someone else is struggling, ways in which they can manage with mental health, as well as learning about other mental health conditions as well, which was received positively, and I had some feedback from other people saying that helped them as well. I started doing some more talks as well about mental health, the first being in lockdown in May 2020, which I delivered for this branch as well, and I've done a series of talks at other networking events as well to help promote awareness of mental health. I've also been speaking to other people as well, and about mental health, and I'm also planning to write a few articles as well about mental health within the in the near future as well. 4 years ago as well, I also wrote an article on LinkedIn as well, just how losing my brother 10 years beforehand and the aftermath of that. So to also raise awareness that these kind of things are difficult to talk about, and it is just literally one of the most difficult things you can mention as well. I mean, I was even advised by a few professionals a few years after my brother's death that not to mention it because it would be an awkward situation, but at the same time now I realise that not mentioning it makes it even more difficult to talk about. So I've done a number of talks, and I've also been looking at doing events as well to help raise awareness of mental health as well. So I'm planning an event and doing an event in the near future in memory of my brother as well, to help him to do an event in memory of him as well, to look to do. I'm also thinking about doing a few sort of like short events as well, just to help raise awareness within mental health and the tech industry as well. So I'm also going to tell you about another person. So Alice, I'm going to talk to you about an organisation called Ripple, which was founded by Alice Hendy, who also lost her brother to suicide in 2020. She's a cybersecurity professional, and I've got a video here as well with Ripple tool as well. So
the best feedback I could have possibly ever received.
I'm just going to let you watch the video for a few minutes.
The best feedback I could have possibly ever received is 24 individuals coming to us directly to tell us that they are still here because Ripple intervened at their most vulnerable point. It was 5:28 in the morning that we got a knock on the door from the police. They sat my parents down and they said very bluntly they'd found somebody and that they believe it to be Josh, and they believe him to have taken his own life. He was 21 years old. My parents kind of sat there in a bit of a daze, really, not knowing what they'd just heard. They came into my bedroom, white, and they just said to me, "It's Josh, he's taken his own life." And I can't really describe how I felt at that point. It was almost like somebody had let a bomb off. From that moment, probably for about 2 months afterwards, it's just a complete blur. You've got sadness, you've got despair, but you've also got guilt. You know, what more could I have done? When I went through Josh's phone and his laptop, what I saw horrified me. Not only was Josh looking at ways and means to go about ending his life, but he was also provided with tips, encouragement. Nothing was there to push him down a different path. The opportunity I saw is to intervene at that person's most vulnerable point and to say to them, think about what you're doing. There is hope. People love you. And by the way, look at all of these amazing 24-hour free mental health resources. I am absolutely desperate to stop suicide impacting you, your friends, your family, your colleagues. It's my life mission now to stop this happening to any other families. Ripple itself is a browser extension. It's a plugin. Once downloaded, it means that if somebody was to conduct an online search relating to the topic of self-harm or suicide, then Ripple would intercept that search and instead provide that person with a message of hope that things would get better and signpost them to a selection of mental health resources that they can access both now and in the longer term. We don't collect or monitor or track any personally identifiable information whatsoever. Not everybody likes talking over the phone, so to have other options like text, web chat, apps you can download increases the probability of people actually securing and gaining mental health support. But not only that, Ripple is also available to be deployed through Wi-Fi integration.
Bournemouth University is installing the extension across their network. It was broadly welcomed.
I think it's a really good idea.
This wonderful tool, lots of parents I'm sure will be instantly downloading Ripple.
Please, please don't wait for suicide to happen before you suddenly decide to do something. This is for people who are at the level and the stage where they're ready to take their own life. It's your duty to protect them. This tool could save their life. We're able to give you demonstrations of the tool, show you how it works, provide you with all of the assurances that you need from a data protection, cybersecurity perspective. So please, please get in touch with us, download this tool, and let's continue to try and stop people from choosing suicide as their option.
So that was Alice Hendy who came up with the idea for the interceptive tool Ripple as well. And
how to open your car door while submerged underwater. A fatal construction flaw in all recent automobiles makes it virtually impossible to escape the car after crashing into water. This ingenious innovation elevates your odds of...
Okay.
I'll have two.
Okay. So yeah, the Ripple. Ripple is an intervention tool which can be downloaded onto browsers and downloaded onto Wi-Fi as well. And it's free for families. It's free for individuals to download. It's also free for universities as well, which I cannot stress how important that tool is to download as well. And I'm not affiliated with Ripple in any way, but I will support the work which they do as well. For her work which Alice has done for suicide prevention, she was awarded an MBE at the start of 2024. So such an amazing person who's done so much. She gave me her blessing to talk about Ripple tool as well. So Ripple will work if somebody's searching for harmful content online, for example, suicide or self-harm, that search will be blocked and they'll be intercepted with sort of guided breathing exercises and reassuring messages that people love and care for them as well. But also as well, immediate access to mental health support, and there'll be a few sort of resources as well, which will be provided as well to them as well. So not everybody wants to talk on the phone or email. So some people, it guides them to resources that will help them as well now as well as in the long term. There's also staff as well on board to help you as well, and it's good for safeguarding your staff as well within organisations. Also as well, it safeguards your clients and your customers. So universities, I'd highly recommend you you get the tool downloaded as well, so that your students, your lecturers, your colleagues are safe as well, and that they get the support they need as well. Also as well, there's a mental health and wellbeing agenda as well, which Ripple is also involved with as well, to help promote mental health within different organisations as well. But for universities, although it's best to speak to the people about the Ripple tool, it can be downloaded for free. And I can give you more details after this talk as well. So, and there's also a really good support team as well with any questions as well, which makes it easier to install it. So the impact it has, it has such great impact. So it's been downloaded 1.8 million times, and it's intercepted at least 23,180 genuine harmful online searches. Thankfully now, more people have been saved by Ripple. So now I believe that number is 27 people. And it's won 29 awards as well for mental health in innovation space as well. And there's different organisations which have downloaded the Ripple tool. So PricewaterhouseCoopers, West Ham United as well, which Alice and her brother were huge fans of. Save the Children, KPMG, also Bournemouth University, Manchester Airport, and the University of Portsmouth, including other organisations, have downloaded the tool as well. So that's definitely it's definitely changed. It's definitely changed lives for better. There are a lot. I've also brought in some more organisations as well.
Hello? Is anybody there? I'm not sure if they can hear me. I've unmuted my mic. They seem to be presenting still, so.
Can everyone hear us now? Sorry. Thumbs up. We are good. Thanks. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so and as well, I'm also looking into looking into articles as well from the BAME from Bain industry as well as the pride industry as well as the pride community as well as the BAME community as well as women in tech as well as to mental health issues which they've encountered as well. So that's going to be, I'm going to sort of research more and talk in future talks about them in due course. I've also got some more articles about Ripple as well, which I'm also going to share with you all after this talk as well. It's got a few videos by Alice, as well as how Ripple can be used for business and for education as well. So I'm going to share them on LinkedIn and I'll share them with you all after this talk as well. But finally, a huge thank you to all of you as well for coming to this talk, both online and as well in person in here. So it's great to see you all as well. And I hope that at least I've added something that has helped by doing the talk as well. I'm going to speak to you, Shahzad, as well about Ripple after this talk as well, because I think it will be a great tool to install at the university as well. And I'm also going to reach out to the universities who I speak to as well about that as well. But if anything, please feel free to have a look, and also as well feel free to spread the message of the tool as well. And if anyone's got any questions, please say. So, but thanks all for listening. Thanks all. Thank you.
Sorry, if we can have some questions from the audience first and then online as well. Anyone? Yep.
So I'm a
okay. Yeah.
In terms of, for example, if I was to find a job, it's a job which I really rely on, and I'm going through some mental health at the same time. How would I be able to? Is there any resources out there that will be able to help me or get me out of the the repeat cycle of depending on the job, but also it being very mentally straining?
Yeah. So could you repeat?
No, you have the mic, so could you repeat the question before you answer?
Yeah. Okay. So you're doing software engineering at the moment, and you're looking for a role as well. But when things are challenging, you're looking for some sort of guidance and some help as to what to do, so that you're not depending on a specific job. Yeah, good question. So, but thank you for asking. So, what was I going to say? I think as well, Mind have a good section about employment as well, as to what to do as well, but also as well, firstly, if it is a challenge and if things do become difficult, talk to your manager or talk to some colleagues as well, and be honest as well. A good manager would be understanding, and a good manager would be fair. Also as well, if there are people who are trained in mental health first aid in the organisation, or who are trained to deal with that, speak to them as well. In some organisations, it isn't always possible to have that, that speak to them as well. Also as well, yeah, might have some good information about mental health and work, and as well keep a diary of how you're feeling as well, and speak to your doctor as well if you need to as well, and just mention that and mention what you're going through as well. I did that as well, and although the doctors couldn't do everything for me, they gave me some advice, and they gave me some things to ask myself as well. There's also organisations as well in Sheffield as well, which have for people who have mental health issues as well. It helps them to sort of stay in work as well. So you've got a few organisations around Sheffield like Working With and Step On within Staffordshire as well, which have the people who are trained in mental health, who could also who can also give advice and give guidance and coaching as well for staying in work as well. Does that answer your question? Does that help?
Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you.
Any other questions from the audience?
Yeah. Hi there.
You mentioned something about boundaries.
Yes.
So obviously, like your work life and obviously your personal life.
Yes.
And as a student myself as well, I've got like workload.
Yeah.
Of assignments and all those aspects. How do you find that? Obviously, you've set boundaries, but how do you find comfort? Obviously, within those boundaries. So let's say for me, like let's say I want to do an activity, but at the same time, my heart doesn't feel at ease because I'm still thinking of the other stuff.
Yeah.
At the same time. So how did you manage to obviously find comfort within the boundaries as well?
Could you read?
So you're with students. Are you doing software engineering as well? Also? I had a few friends who did software engineering about 20 years ago. But
Andy, could you repeat the question?
yeah, but sorry. But it's sort of finding boundaries within work and with the workplace as well, which have been designed as well whilst you're studying. So I've been in that situation myself as well whilst I was at university. I actually came here, just started in 1999, and I find it hard to switch off from studying and switch off from work as well. But what I used to do as well is I found a few activities which I used to do, whether for example it's going for a walk or doing sport with some friends as well. So sort of having sort of setting specific times to do specific sports or specific activities with people as well, and making sure that you have a break from work as well and from studying as well, because that way as well, if you take a break, sometimes creative ideas can just flood in rather than just sort of sitting by a laptop a lot of the time as well. And that way as well, by awarding yourself certain breaks or certain time to sort of do an activity or do a sport. So what things do you like doing?
Football.
Football. Oh, cool. So if you wanted to play football as well with your mates, or which team do you support?
Man City.
Man City. Okay. So if you was going to go and see Man City, say on a Saturday when we were playing against Manchester United, taking some time to do that as well, and that way, having that break from your studying will actually help you do better as well. Does that help?
Yeah.
Andy, there's a really long question from there, so if you want to read
Okay.
it and then if you can answer it. I can read it for you if you want.
Okay.
Let's do that. So, what about the moral dimension? When a manager doesn't actually ask you to break the rules, just invites you to break the rules on their behalf. I won't go after if you just break some rules. For example, the Volkswagen effect. That's a question about how do you deal with that kind of situation?
So I think, so about the moral dimension, when a manager doesn't actually ask you to break the rules, just invites you to break the rules on their behalf. I won't go after you if you just, Volkswagen effect. When a project manager with a lot of power over your contract lies to a client, put you in a very difficult position because engineers have to deal with the truth to make things actually work. Just trying to think how best to answer it. To me, I'm going to be honest here. I'm going to be honest here. I'm not sure if I'm the best person to answer this question as well. But if I was told to sort of break the rules or to sort of bend them as well, if you have a whistleblower policy at work, do that as well, because or report or mention it in good faith as well, because any decent organisation, as long as you're acting in good faith, will protect you, and you will not get any retaliation from reporting things in a good faith. At the end of the day, when stuff is done in darkness, it will always come to light. And at the end of the day, I'd ask myself a question: what would happen if I did? What would happen if I did this? What would happen if I broke the rules or accepted a bribe, for example, or do that? Would I actually do it? Sometimes doing the right thing can be difficult, and it can be really difficult. But at the end of the day, it's about what you do and what you live with and what you live with as well. So I'd probably speak to and use an open door policy at work, and just sort of raise your concerns as well. There are organisations out there as well outside of work which can help give better advice as well as being as part of a union as well. I'm part of the union as well, and I've asked them for advice when I've had issues with specific places as well before as well, and they can also give good advice. Does that help answer your question somewhat? I apologise if the answer's a bit.
There was one more question that Shazad mentioned, that there was about mental dimension.
Thank you.
No worries.
No problem.
Anyone else in the, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to start by saying really good talk.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for that. But it is someone else who actually neurodiverse and suffered from a mental health problem recently. Have you kind of had noticed that colleagues and managers have been supporting in those times, and if they've not, have you kind of found ways how to kind of increase that?
So you mentioned whilst going through difficult things as a neurodiverse professional within the workplace, have colleagues been supportive, and if not, have there been other colleagues who've been who have brought round to be supportive? Good question. So I've worked in a few places where the managers have not been supportive, and it caused me anxieties. One of them actually dismissed it, saying, "Oh, it's not anxieties, you're just daydreaming. You're just easily distracted on your job." That company, I'm glad I was rid of. I worked at another place as well where it did cause me anxiety, but then the manager did actually realise as well that after time that it caused me anxiety, and apologised and sort of started to work work things out to sort of help reduce that anxiety, and looking at what the good qualities that I had as well. For example, being positive, having a positive work attitude as well. But most of the places where I have worked as well, the managers have been supportive. Where I've worked in organisations where they've looked at my condition, they've read up about it before I've even started. So although I was initially anxious, they actually said, "Well, don't worry, we've read up about it, so we have some idea. But if we can work with you to help you develop at work as well, we can talk about it. If you're unsure about anything, please say as well, so that we can work through this together as well." And that way as well, it's helped me, because it's helped me to be more productive. It's helped me to learn how systems work as well, but also in a nurturing environment where managers and colleagues are supportive and have been good to and been helpful as well. That makes all the difference as well, and it's good for mental health, and it has reduced people wanting to move on, because people like where they're staying as well. Has that helped?
Yeah, that was my question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't see we have any other questions online, unfortunately. So we're just gonna. Okay. Thank you so much for this, and thanks, Andy, for this. We're gonna stop the recording now.